Step of planting lettuce is the tray. So I use these trays from Bootstrap Farmer. They're really flexible. They're really heavy duty. They will bend a little bit, but you can see you can't really hurt them, bend them. And we use one that has holes in it. That's going to be the planting tray, and then we have one underneath that is solid. And the first step is to fill it with soil. I use a professional potting soil mix. It's Coco Loco. It works really well for everything, and I've had good luck with it, so that's what I use. So let me fill this up. You can see I have another tray so that I don't make quite such a mess. But it's just a matter of taking a smaller container, filling the tray up. And then leveling the soil off. And you want to compact it a little bit. So I just use my hand and press it down. Sort of push it to the edges. That's generally where you get the most settling, is around the edges. It doesn't quite fill in. And then it's just a matter of using your hand and raking off the extra soil. Getting the surface perfectly level isn't as necessary with lettuce as it is microgreens, because the seeds are flat. So they have no tendency to go to the holes or to roll off. So you just take my hand and compact it down. Now, like with most things, when I have this tray, I don't usually water in the soil tray, because then it just ends up getting to be a muddy mess. So what I'm going to do is take this tray of soil out, dump the extra soil back into my container, and grab the watering tray. Now that the tray's into the watering tray, the soil tray's into the watering tray, we're just going to take the handy dandy Flowmaster sprayer. I really like this sprayer, this pump sprayer. Works well for 1 or 2 flats. And wet the surface. Generally I wet it fairly well. So I put a little bit solid stream in. Well, not that solid. Just like that. I just keep going over it several times until I get a good moist upper surface. If you see any high spots, again, here's the point where you can pack it down. It's the advantage of Coco Loco is it does not stick to your hands like wet peat moss does. Another reason I like using coconut coir mixes compared to peat mixes. I try not to wet the soil all the way through. Just get the upper surface wet, because we're going to put this underneath a dome, and the dome will help retain the moisture. All right, now the surface is wet, we'll get our seed. The thing about lettuce seeds, and I'm using ruby red lettuce, is that it doesn't take much, only 0.7 grams, and it's really hard to spread that a little bit. So right here is 0.7 grams of red leaf lettuce. I just put this into my my shaker jar. It's just easier to spread. And then just shake the seed on. The problem with using only 0.7 grams of seed, and believe it or not, this is enough, is that it's hard to actually spread it even because there's so little seed. I've tried more like 0.8 or 0.9, and if you let the lettuce grow to the larger baby leaf, what happens is it's so dense that you get a lot of browning on the inside. So even though you could plant it a little bit denser, the 0.65 or the 0.7 grams actually is a good density, because you'll have better leaves in the long run. So sometimes some seeds fall on the side, I just put them back in. And now it's just a matter of We're going to put on a little bit more mist, wetting the seed. What this does is not only does it wet the seed, but it actually helps settle the seed into the soil. Once it's wet, then I give it a little bit harder jet. Just don't want it flying off at first. A little bit more pressure in the container. And there's our lettuce tray, all set to go under the light, believe it or not. Yep, lettuce you germinate under light. We don't put it into a blackout period. So I'll show you where I'm going to set this in a second. This is my setup for growing lettuces. Like I said, it likes light when it germinates. So I've just made a table in front of a window, and above it, let me swing up, I have a Mars Hydro grow light. It works really well, especially for red leaf. Now don't be alarmed when your leaf lettuce starts to grow, your red leaf starts to grow and it's not red. It takes a while for it actually to turn red. It's going to be green to begin with. So we have our tray of sowed lettuce here, and all we do now is just put on a clear dome. The lettuce really likes light to germinate. So it's just a matter of putting a dome on top of it. That will hold in the moisture, let the light through, and then turn on the grow light. I leave the grow light on for about 15 hours a day. And when this lettuce starts to germinate in 3 or 4 days, we'll be back. We'll show you the next steps.
All right, it's been 3 days since we've planted our red leaf lettuce. You can see they're underneath the Mars Hydro SB150 light. You can also see it's a dark, dreary, rainy day outside. Let's take a look at these lettuce plants. You can see there's quite a bit of moisture on the dome. Let me give you a little bit closer look. All right, let's remove the dome and see what we have. There's always going to be quite a bit of water flowing out of this thing. Let's remove it. There. You can see we actually have some tomatoes germinating on there. Let me get you a closer look. I hope that's in focus, but you can see that there's quite a bit of lettuce that have germinated. There's some seed that hasn't yet, but it probably will. I know it looks a little sparse at the moment, but trust me,